Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me borrow the car in this video. Toyota of Naperville is one of the largest Toyota dealers in Illinois, ready to find the right car for you.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2023 Kia Soul LX. Up front is a 2.0 liter inline 4, and down below is an IVT. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Kia Soul for many reasons. First of all, I haven't done one in a little while. I've done some of the earlier Kia Souls, but they have refreshed it for 2023. There's some very nice features that they added, some things I like, some things I don't, and also the fact that this is the LX, which is the base model, which means this is very, very affordable. And so we'll talk about what you get at the bottom of the barrel for the Kia Soul. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you'd get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 2 liter under the hood, making 147 horsepower. Well, there's 2 things that I really like about it. First of all, it makes fine horsepower. For a car like this, I'm not bothered. But the second thing I like about it is the fact that it is not turbocharged. As much as I love turbocharged engines, if you're looking for something simple and basic, it's a 2 liter, no turbo to worry about, and that makes me smile. Like I said, paired to it is an IVT, meaning intelligent variable transmission. If you're familiar with CVTs, it's the same idea, and it's fine. Again, for a vehicle like this, just something simple and basic, the IVT is fine. It does the job. It helps the car change and manage its speed. That's it. That's all I can ask the transmission to do. It shows up, it's present, and that's more than some do at all. Last but not least about the drivetrain specifically, the Soul is front-wheel drive, and as of right now, there is no all-wheel drive Soul that is offered. So how does it feel to actually drive the Soul LX? Well, we'll talk about features in a second. The actual driving experience is pretty good. Is it quick? No, it's pretty slow, but it has great forward visibility. Really like that. All of the controls make sense. The throttle isn't too touchy. The steering isn't too heavy. For doing car things, well, it does car things pretty well. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. And right off the bat, the gauge cluster is new for 2023. Off to the left is my speed, off to the right is my tachometer, but it's all digital. I also get this screen in the center that I can change, and I really like it. This feels very fresh, very modern, and I'm happy to see it all the way down here at the LX trim. I can also put it in a sport mode, which then makes the gauge cluster red, and that gets me excited. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my mode, voice commands, skip track, volume, favorites, and phone. And off to the right, I have my pages and scrolls for that center gauge cluster screen we just talked about, as well as my lane keep assist. The overall steering wheel, you're going to notice that this is a base model because it is this hard sort of rental car plastic, as opposed to the upper trims getting a leather-bound steering wheel. So that is going to be pretty noticeable that it's not the top dog, but not the end of the world. Off to the left, I get a giant climate control vent, my gauge dimmer switch, traction control on and off, and my automatic start-stop on and off. Moving out of the door, I have my handle in this very interesting accent. Again, nice to see this sort of interior detail on a base model. But then I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, I have 2 climate control vents, as well as the infotainment system itself. This is Kia's older infotainment system, so I'm showing here the more modern infotainment that you'll find in a lot of the other Kia products, and I wish that carried over to the Soul. However, this system isn't bad by any means, and it does have quiet mode, which I like in case you have someone sleeping in the back seat. It'll quiet down the radio and focus the speakers on just the driver. Here's what the backup camera looks like. I don't think it's stellar. I don't think it's awful. It's very middle ground, and it does the job, so it's good to go. Then I have the hazard switch below that, and we have the climate controls. I don't get dual zone, which I would have liked to have seen, but temperature off to left, fan speed in the middle, and where to send it off to the right. Then I do get a little cubby with two 12-volt outlets and a USB. This is a traditional USB. I would have liked to have seen USB-C. The shifter itself is fine. It is shared with a lot of other Kia products. Can't tell you how many vehicles I've driven with this shifter in it. And again, not good, not bad, just kind of here. I do have drive modes off to the left, as we talked about earlier with the gauge cluster. I just have normal and sport. There is no eco mode. Then we do have some dead switches around the shifter, which is a little bit of a shame, but it is an LX. It's a base model. It's going to have that. Then we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' model test here in the Kia Soul from 2023. And unfortunately, it wants to accept it, but it's too wiggly and the bottle won't stay in place. So unfortunately, the Kia Soul fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then I do get a center console and the seats. The seats, of course, are cloth. Very simple. However, they do have decently high bolsters to them. It's actually holding me in the car decently well. Are they sporty Civic Type R seats? No, but they're a little bit higher bolstered than I would have expected out of a vehicle like this. Speaking of seats, however, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2023 Kia Soul LX, and this has always been a very strong suit of the Kia Soul. Again, most, if not almost all of the vehicles at this price point have absolutely diabolical back seats. I feel as though I need to amputate my kneecaps just to get in the back. That's not the case here with the Kia Soul. I'm sitting normally, like I would normally sit in a car. My head has plenty of space before I hit the ceiling. My knees have a couple of inches before hitting the seat in front of me, and this is my driving position. I didn't move it up at all. So I could comfortably sit behind myself and stare at my giant egg head. Now, I don't get any vents back here. I don't even get a center console. I don't seemingly get any drink holders besides, I guess, the pockets in the doors. So it is pretty Spartan back here. But the actual size for the price, I don't know if it can be beaten. The Nissan Versa Note, I drove an earlier model, like a 2014. That was pretty on par with this and was in this similar price range. But modern, you'd be hard pressed to find a car with a better backseat space for the money. That's just it. Kia rules, man. They really do. Speaking of space, however, let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Kia Soul. Come down here, little button, pop it up, and this is the trunk space. Now, you can bring the floor up, and as you can see, it could sit up here to be a little bit more flush, or you can have more space, which I've opted for, and I really, really like that. I can pick this up as well. We do have a spare tire and tools. Besides that, nothing crazy, but plenty of space. You're going to be able to go on a weekend trip with this. You're going to be able to move in and out of an apartment with the seats down. You're going to be able to do whatever you need to do with the back of the Kia Soul, and I love that. Now we got to talk about the looks, and this is finished in Snow White Pearl. It doesn't get much more basic than this. However, the Soul has been somewhat redesigned for 23. Has a lot more of an aggressive look, especially at the front end. And I have to say it's decent. I like the fact that they've kept this sort of style of vehicle around. And we'll talk about that with the final thoughts. But again, just like the rest of this car, I don't love the looks. I don't hate the looks. They just kind of exist. And so with that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a brand new Kia Soul LX? Well, there's not much I really strongly dislike about this car. Now, there's also things I don't strongly love about this car, but I don't have any major complaints because of the price of this vehicle. For around $20,000, this can be yours. And in today's market, that's a pretty good deal. You'll be hard pressed to even find a Honda Civic at that price, a Mazda 3 at that price. And I know those aren't direct competitors, but whenever I think of affordable cars, those are what come to mind, and the Kia Soul actually undercuts them. I'm very, very happy to see this style of car still sticking around from Kia. The reason I say that is because the Scion XB walked so the Kia Soul could run. The Scion XB was a fantastic car. It had a Toyota drivetrain that was seriously very reliable, but more than that, it was a very ergonomic car. It made sense physically. It had plenty of space. It had that flat rear end so it could have more cargo room. It doesn't sit low like a sedan, but it's also not a high SUV. Getting into these cars is very easy. And so I feel the same way I feel about this car as I feel about the Hyundai Venue and Hyundai Kona. Funny enough, all filmed in the same white color. These three cars are very, very good at being cars. The Kia Soul LX is fantastic for when you have to get from point A to point B and you need an automobile to do so. If you want a new car with a warranty for not a whole lot of money, this is a fantastic option. And when I say it's ergonomic, I mean that sitting in it, driving it, feeling all the buttons, it makes sense. The buttons aren't too far from me. Like I said, it's easy to get in and out of because I don't have to lift myself up too high or drop myself down too low. If you have back problems, muscular issues, or if you just don't like getting into low cars and you don't like jumping up into high cars, this was made for the regular human height. This car is fantastic for grandparents or athletes, and I'm so happy to see it being offered for a very, very reasonable price. I had no idea that these Souls could be so affordable. It's a bargain. It's a bargain and a half. And what you get is just a car that works. So is this car exciting? No. But it works, and it works for not a whole lot of money. And that is its strong suit. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their Kia Soul. This actually is one of their used vehicles, although it is a very low mileage example and current model year. Toyota of Naperville is absolutely awesome. We've been working together for years at this point. They always have fun and interesting vehicles on the lot. Their customer service is top notch. Everyone at the dealership has always been super kind to me, and I can't recommend them enough. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Roll the music.